An atheist, in a traditional sense, with a pentagram, is probably one of the most dangerous things on the planet. As a matter of fact, any kind of person who is extremely cynical about things they don't understand, it is extremely dangerous if they have some type of medallion. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a cross or a pentagram or anything of that type of nature. Because essentially what this is it's a certain amplifier of a certain kind of energy, essentially. I got to stop being angry about these type of things, because I know that it can be very difficult for a lot of people to understand. But I saw this one atheist, and I'm not going to really say his name or recommend any channels or anything, but he was making a video talking about the pentagram, and he was talking about how stupid Christians are, and trying to quote Jesus and trying to quote the Bible and things of this nature. This is a dangerous way of being. See, the Bible is too often read by those who are looking for an absolute foundation or an absolute answer. But a lot of the foundation of the Bible, the sacred texts like the Book of Thomas and many of the occult books of the Bible, whether you believe Jesus actually wrote them or not, they are things that are important within the framework of the Bible. And it's important that when you read things like the Bible, that these things are contemplated on. These things shouldn't be looked at, as a dogma. And there's actually there will be Christians in the comments saying that Jesus did say, love your neighbor as yourself, and talks about loving people. But then the atheists, with their shallow understanding of cryptic literature and divine scripture, will turn around like angry children and talk about how Jesus said not to give pearls unto swine. And they take that as a personal insult, because there is something fundamentally wrong, I think, with the way a lot of these people think and the way they frame certain things. When it comes to mystical truths, you have to take them spiritually, not according to your ego. If you take them according to your ego, you take them too personally, then you're going to begin to build an identity for yourself, either for or against what's being said. And when you make a certain assumption about a certain thing, basically it becomes impossible to change your mind. You become extremely rigid. A lot of these people think that people who have spiritual beliefs are delusional because they can't be quantified in ways that involve the physicality, as we commonly refer to it. What's important to understand is that all things, no matter what they are, in some way, shape, or form, are related to the physicality. All things, no matter how subtle they might seem, do have a physical reality to them. Atheists like to shrug off spiritual beliefs. They like to say that, and obviously, I don't believe that hell is exactly what hell is. An extremely, extremely complicated topic that has a lot to do with the cleansing of the soul of the human mind and ego. But what a lot of people, unfortunately, will say is that, they basically simplify the teachings down to some, woo-woo talk, and say that a fire can't burn a ghost any more than water can make a ghost wet. That is not entirely true. Anything in manifestation has a certain level of density and therefore a certain level of physicality within it. This is the reason why fire, air, wind, water, any one of the forms of solids that exist in nature based on the 118, I guess you could say, atomic structures that exist, do have an effect on the mind and body in some way, shape, or form. It's no coincidence that when you take a shower, you feel like a new man. But see, atheism takes a stance of, whatever it is that they can't understand. They think that there is no consensus on it. They think that there is no higher state of consciousness because they don't believe that a consensus can essentially exist within a higher mode of being. But this is actually completely incorrect. Consensus does exist. Many people who believe that they are experiencing things through the third eye are experiencing things, but it might be from a projection of a lower form of consciousness. It sounds like a bunch of complicated woo-woo nonsense, and so they don't take it seriously. One of the reasons why Jesus says, "Blessed are they who believe and have not seen," is because it is only those who take the leap of faith who can ultimately come into the experience, and through coming into the experience objectively knowing that these things are in fact true, in much the same way this house is a physical object. These things have a manifest resonant structure that absolutely is physical in existence. That which seems less connected, actually, contrary to what many people might believe, has more effect because it exists more on the causal level, which is why it is seemingly rational to assume that God being disconnected from the world means that he can have no effect on the world, when in fact the exact opposite is true. Things that are manifest have a certain resonant quality to them, which means they have a certain way in which they must affect or come in contact with the world. But things that are outside manifestation don't have such limitations. They can make changes to the world and affect the world in ways that we can't even possibly imagine. And I'll leave you with some of those thoughts for now. Atheists, tyrants, anyone with negative intentions, when they have pentacles or they have some type of medallion or some type of power structure in their life, this can hold on to a lot of arrogance that they have within them. It can protect their nonsensical worldview, and it can actually have them closed-minded to expansive ways of thinking.